Most people read business books wrong. They read for information instead of transformation. These 10 books fix that. And the number one pick is probably not the one you're expecting. I ranked these by real-world impact on how people actually think about money, not by how many copies they sold. And for each one, I'm going to break down the actual ideas inside. Not just the title and a one-line summary. Number 10. The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco. DeMarco's central argument is that there are 3 financial roads. The sidewalk, where people spend everything and never build wealth. The slow lane, the traditional advice of saving 10% and investing in index funds for 40 years. And the fast lane, where you build a scalable system or business. His key concept is the difference between trading time for money, a job, versus owning a system that produces money without your direct time input, like a piece of software, a content platform, or a franchise model. A concrete example he uses: a doctor earning $300,000 a year is still on the slow lane, because if she stops working, the income stops. Meanwhile, someone who builds an app earning $10,000 a month in passive revenue is on the fast lane, even with a smaller number, because the system runs without them. What makes this book different from something like Rich Dad Poor Dad is that it's far more aggressive and dismissive of patience as a strategy. DeMarco essentially argues that conventional financial planning guarantees mediocrity. Link to grab this one is in the description, timestamped below. Number 9. The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Housel's core thesis is that financial success is less about what you know and more about how you behave. And behavior is shaped by personal history, ego, and emotion, not logic. One of his clearest examples. He compares 2 investors. One who lived through the Great Depression and one who grew up during a booming bull market. And shows how their radically different relationships with risk aren't about intelligence, they're about what decade they were born in. Another core idea is enough. Housel tells the story of a hedge fund manager who, despite already being extremely wealthy, engaged in illegal insider trading and went to prison. Illustrating that the failure to know when you have enough can destroy everything you've built. What separates this book from typical finance books is that it has almost no formulas or tactics. It's structured as a series of short narrative essays, which makes it more readable but also means you won't get a step-by-step plan, only frameworks for thinking. Link is in the description. Number 8. Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. This book flips the standard accounting formula. Most businesses operate as sales minus expenses equals profit. Meaning profit is whatever's left over, which is usually nothing. Michalowicz proposes sales minus profit equals expenses. You take a fixed percentage as profit first, move it to a separate account immediately, and force the business to operate on what remains. He gives a concrete example of a restaurant owner who was technically profitable on paper but always felt broke, because expenses had simply expanded to consume all revenue. By using separate bank accounts for profit, taxes, and owner's pay, the business is forced into healthier spending discipline almost automatically, without complex budgeting. What makes this distinct from general money mindset books is that it's specifically built for small business owners managing real cash flow, not personal finance or investing. It's closer to an operating system for your business bank accounts than a philosophy book. Grab it using the link below. Number 7. The Almanac of Naval Ravikant, compiled by Eric Jorgenson. This is a curated collection of Naval Ravikant's tweets, podcast appearances, and essays, organized into a framework around wealth and happiness. His most repeated concept is leverage. Specifically, 3 types. Labor, meaning people working for you. Capital, meaning money working for you. And what he calls permissionless leverage. Code and media, which can scale infinitely at zero marginal cost, without needing anyone's approval. His example. A programmer who builds a piece of software once can sell it to 1 million people without doing additional work for each sale. Whereas a lawyer billing hourly is capped by the number of hours in a day, no matter how skilled they are. He also introduces specific knowledge. Skills you gain through curiosity and genuine interest that can't be taught through a standard credential. Like a unique blend of design sense and coding ability. What makes this book different from something like 0 to 1 is that it's not really about building companies. It's about positioning yourself, your skills, and your time so that wealth becomes a byproduct, even working alone. Links in the description. Number 6. Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Kiyosaki structures the entire book around two contrasting mentors. His biological father, highly educated but financially cautious, and his best friend's father, an entrepreneur with less formal education but far more wealth. The core lesson is his definition of an asset versus a liability. An asset puts money into your pocket every month. A liability takes money out, regardless of what it looks like on paper. His most famous example. Most people consider their house an asset. But Kiyosaki argues it's actually a liability, because it costs you money in mortgage, maintenance, and taxes every month, rather than generating income. He contrasts this with a rental property that produces monthly cash flow. What makes this book influential and different from more recent books like The Psychology of Money is that it's intentionally simple and almost parable-like. Critics point out the numbers in his stories don't always hold up to scrutiny. But the conceptual framework of assets versus liabilities is what made it one of the most referenced books in this entire genre. Link below. Number 5. Atomic Habits by James Clear. Clear's central framework is that you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Meaning your habits, not your ambitions, determine your results. His most useful concept here is the idea of habit stacking and identity-based habits. Instead of saying I want to save money, you adopt the identity I am someone who invests, and let your actions follow from that identity rather than from willpower alone. A concrete example he gives, applied to money. Instead of relying on motivation to transfer savings each month, you automate the transfer the day you're paid, removing the decision entirely. What he calls making good behavior the path of least resistance. What separates this from typical finance content is that it's not about money at all, it's a behavior change book. But its principles map almost perfectly onto building consistent financial habits, which is exactly why it shows up on so many money mindset lists despite not being a finance book. Links in the description. Number 4. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Written in the 1930s after Hill spent 2 decades interviewing wealthy industrialists like Andrew Carnegie, the book lays out 13 principles, with the most central being burning desire combined with a definite chief aim. A single, specific, written-down goal rather than a vague wish. Hill insists that vague desires like I want to be rich produce nothing, while a specific target like I will accumulate $50,000 by this date through this specific method creates actionable focus. He also introduces the idea of a mastermind group. A small circle of like-minded, ambitious people who meet regularly to solve problems and hold each other accountable. A concept that's been adopted by countless modern entrepreneurship communities. What makes this book distinct, and also dated, is its heavy emphasis on near-mystical concepts like autosuggestion and channeling desire almost spiritually. Language that hasn't aged perfectly. But the underlying psychological principles around specificity and focus still show up in modern goal-setting research. Link is below. Number 3. The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. Ferriss's core framework is the DEAL method. Definition, elimination, automation, and liberation. The most actionable concept is what he calls the 80-20th rule applied to business. Identifying which 20% of your clients or tasks produce 80% of your stress with minimal payoff, and eliminating them entirely. His concrete example. He describes firing his most demanding, lowest-paying clients from his own supplement business. which counterintuitively increased his profit because it freed up time to focus on higher-value customers. He also popularized outsourcing personal and business tasks to virtual assistants. Years before this became mainstream. What makes this book different from something like Profit First is that it's focused on designing your lifestyle and time first, with money as a tool to fund that lifestyle, rather than focused on managing the business's finances directly. Grab the link in the description. Number 2. 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. Thiel's central argument, drawn from his experience co-founding PayPal, is that true business success doesn't come from competing well in an existing market. It comes from creating something so different it has no real competition. What he calls going from 0 to 1, rather than copying something that already exists, which he calls 1 to N. His clearest example is contrasting the airline industry, which serves millions of passengers but earns razor-thin margins due to brutal competition, with Google, which dominates search so completely that it operates closer to a monopoly and earns enormous margins as a result. He argues that competition is for losers, because in a truly competitive market, profits get driven towards 0. What separates this from books like The Millionaire Fastlane is that it's specifically about building category-defining companies and startups, not personal wealth strategies. It's a founder's book more than an individual money mindset book. Links below. And number 1. The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley and William Danko. Unlike most books on this list, this one is built entirely on actual research. The authors surveyed and interviewed real American millionaires, and found that the popular image of wealth, expensive cars, and big houses was almost entirely wrong. Their most striking finding: the majority of millionaires they studied lived in middle-class neighborhoods, drove used cars, and were often small business owners like scrap metal dealers or pest control operators, not doctors or lawyers with high visible incomes. The book introduces the concept of under-accumulators of wealth versus prodigious accumulators of wealth. Two people can earn the exact same income, but one builds significant net worth through consistent saving and living below their means, while the other accumulates nothing because their lifestyle expands with their paycheck. What makes this book uniquely credible compared to everything else on this list is that it isn't built on anecdote or personal philosophy. It's grounded in actual survey data across thousands of households, which is why it remains one of the most cited books in personal finance research. Link is in the description. The number 1 pick proves something simple. Most millionaires don't look rich. They just consistently spend less than they earn, often for decades, without anyone noticing. Which of these have you read, and which one changed how you think? Drop it in the comments. Next video: 10 books that will completely rewire how you think about failure.